Howdy, this is Karen from KarenDawn Designs, and today I'm going to talk to you about a stitch that I used in two of my patterns, the Palamon hat and the Arcite cowl. Before you on the screen is the cowl, and the stitch that I'm talking about is the one that is worked in the bottom and the top portions. The middle section is a different stitch. So basically what the stitch pattern asks you to do is to create a strand by slipping some stitches and holding the yarn in front, and then 2 rows later picking up that strand to create a V. So you can see that here in the example. The nice thing about the stitch is that with the slip stitches and creating that strand, it helps to break up colors. So if you have a variegated yarn like I do in this cowl, it actually can break up some of those colors and make that variegated yarn look really nice. A semi-solid is also a pretty good choice for this type of stitch to really kind of show off some of the depth. So I will be right back to show you how to do this stitch. My little swatch where I'm ready to start creating the strand. Now I'm going to use the numbers that are used in my Palamon and Arcite patterns, so if you're using this stitch for a different pattern, please double check your numbers to make sure that you're using the correct ones for your pattern. So the first thing that we need to do is create the strand. To do that, we bring the yarn to the front. So move it over the needle. Yarn is in the front. Then we're going to slip the next 5 stitches. Because we're not working these stitches right away, we slip them purlwise. So insert your needle as if to purl. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slip stitches. And then what we need to do is knit the next stitch. So to knit the next stitch, we need our yarn to be in the back of the work. So you move your yarn to the back. And here you can see the strand that we've created. What you want to do here is make sure that your strand is not too loose and not too tight. So what I like to do is to stretch my needles out, or my stitches out on the needle, and see that the strand is a good distance. It's basically taking up exactly the distance that the stitches take up. And then you knit the next stitch. And now I've created my strand right here. A little bit caught, hard to see. So there I have my strand that I've created. And in 2 rows we will pick up this strand. So let me work a little bit more and get to that section where we're ready to pick up the strand, and I will be right back. And now I am ready to use the row that has the KS, at least in my pattern, the KS abbreviation. KS stands for knit strand. So I'm up to the point where we have the 5 stitches where we've created the strand. And we want to pull this strand up, basically, to create a V. And since we want that centered, we want to do that on the 3rd stitch. So you just knit 2 stitches like normal. And now we're ready with this 3rd stitch. So what we do is we take the strand and we pick it up and put it on the right-hand needle. So you can either actually use your finger and pick it up like that, or you can just swoop down with your needle and pick it up. So it's sitting there on your right needle, and then you knit this next stitch, which is the 3rd stitch in this set. When you pull that stitch off the needle, make sure you are also going underneath this strand as well. There we go, underneath the strand, and then pull it off the needle. That way what you're doing is picking up that strand and moving it to the back of the work in such a way that it's pulling up into a V shape. And then to complete those 5 stitches, you knit the final 2 just normal knit stitches. So let me work another couple of rows and I will show you how this looks. So that way we can actually see what has actually happened with this knit strand. So since I'm using more of a solid colored yarn, it's actually a little challenging to see the strand. So if I use my needle, I can show you right here, and here are the 2 parts of the strand that are still showing on the right side of the work. And if you look, you can see how it is actually behind, the middle section is behind this stitch right here. So it's creating that nice little V shape. And if you have a whole series of them, it creates a nice pattern. So I hope that you found this video tutorial helpful, and that if you're working the Palamon hat or Arcite cowl, that you enjoy it, or whatever pattern you're using that calls for this stitch. Play around with variegated yarn. As you can see in the solid color, it's a little bit boring. When you've got the variegated yarn, like I did with the cowl at the very beginning, you actually have fun with the colors and seeing what happens when you pull the strand up and how the colors intermingle. So let me know if you have any questions. Thank you. Bye.